I tell you what, this one takes a long time to go live, and that looks really weird. Like I look even more washed out than normal. I don't know if that's right. Uh, Very hard to be sure with this. I'm using my new laptop webcam rather than an add-on webcam because, well, I kind of got the impression that it was actually better quality with the light balance than the other one. And yeah, I think I kind of do look like shit. I don't know why that is. It's just the normal lights. I don't know why I'm so washed out. And hello, Fox of Fate and my lovely dame. Um, just quickly try something. I'll just be off for a second. Uh, okay, put more light behind me. Is that better or worse? I can't even tell. I think it's a little bit better. Can't tell, honestly. It's all a bit of a palaver, quite honestly. Looks better. I have found that generally these webcams tend to look better if there's some light behind me. If the light's just all in front of me, it makes my pasty white skin flare out. And it's just blindingly white, and there's not much I can do about that. That's just the way things are, unfortunately. But um, well, here we are. You know, it's a fabulous um, Thursday night. Good Lord, the week's almost over. Casual Friday tomorrow. Does anyone else do casual Fridays if they work in an office? I mean, where I work, the dress code's actually not all that strict, but because I'm a contractor, you know, I try to look professional, trying to create a good impression for the agency, and so I wear more businessy stuff Monday to Thursday. Um, and even on casual Friday, I wear a collared shirt. I tend to wear like black jeans as opposed to suit pants, and I'll wear runners as opposed to like leather work shoes. That's my radical departure for the end of the week. And hello, Raddest Scorpion and Justin. Good to see you. I always thought that was a funny concept, though. The number of offices that had quite a strict dress code for Mondays to Fridays, and sorry, they had very strict dress code for Monday to Thursday, and then they go to casual Friday. It's like, why not casual every day then? How is having one casual day different? I mean, and my understanding of the origins of casual Fridays, like a little treat for you, right? But it's like, you're more likely to be going out after work. So if you can wear casual clothes, you can go out after work and feel like less of an office dork, I guess. I think that was the idea behind Casual Friday. The idea that you might be going out after work on a Friday and not want to wear super officey clothes. Um, and how's that going for? Yeah, office clothes. I don't know. Fortunately, I haven't had to wear a tie for years. So I really hate ties, having to do up the top button and be like joking and whatnot. But uh, yeah, but I haven't had to do that for quite a few years, which is good. Music at any moon landing 50th anniversary events this weekend. You poor gullible fool. I intend to go up and down the streets shouting at people, it's the 50th anniversary of nothing, you sheep. It never happened. They never went to the moon, you fools. Because somehow just doing it on YouTube's not satisfying enough. I want to actually shout moon landing conspiracies at people on the street, and I'll feel more fulfilled. And that is good. And in fact, most people are reasonably sensible about it these days. If you're not meeting clients, why dress up within bounds? I mean, you don't want people coming in shorts and thongs. Quite honestly, you got to have some semblance of professionalism. But yes, well, Fox, that's the thing. Yes, I mean, you're getting to the core reason for Casual Friday. So the ruling lizards make us feel less like a drone for one day. But I think it was couched in terms of it had some practical benefit that you might be going out after work. I oh my god, when I worked a job years ago and I did have to wear a tie every day. Fucking hate ties. So like my form of rebellion was to wear a plain black tie. Um, the because slightly colourful ties were the fashion for office gentlemen at the time, and I was like, "Fuck you! I'm not playing your fucking games." And they were wide too. I thought there was a slight. When I started in the workforce, it was still the '90s, and I thought there was a slight bloody '70s. I knew this yawn was coming. Yeah, but I tried to resist that yawn for the last 5 minutes. I feel like I'll never stop yawning if I start. Hey, Dr. Obama, how you going? So yeah, in the '90s, I think the tie fashions they had a bit of a '70s vibe to them. They were wide and colourful, and I refused to do it. And I was wearing a comparatively thin, plain black tie. And then one day, I was going to work, and I'd forgotten a tie. And I thought, oh, they're going to cause a huge scene if I go in with a tie. I've got to stop at a menswear shop and get a tie before I go in. Um, Whereas I told you I was going to, I won't be able to start yawning here. Ugh. Um, I was working a later shift, like I didn't start first thing. I didn't start till 11 or 12. Um, and so I stopped at the menswear shop at the time. I was looking at their tie rack, and there was a Jurassic Park tie. It was like a tropical type of thing, and then a T-Rex down there. And I went like, fuck yeah, I'm getting that tie. They're going to make me wear a tie. I'm going to have a T-Rex tie. So I wore a T-Rex tie, and it generated a bit of comment. And I thought, oh god, I can't stop yawning. Oh, apologize. I'm not even tired. I just can feel this yawn. Once I get the yawns, they don't stop. It's probably all contagious. You're probably all yawning. Um, so I and that went well. And I ended up. I've still got them all. I've got this huge collection of novelty ties, and I would wear them all the time, swapping different ties. And people would say, "You must love ties. You got so many." I go, no, I've just got all these because I fucking hate ties. And if you're gonna make me wear ties, I'm gonna wear weird ties because I'm the wacky office guy, and I'm gonna keep yawning. It's terrible. Dr. Obama, my first real job was in a call center. I've worked lots of part-time jobs. In my youth, I worked all the food ones. I did McDonald's, KFC, and Pizza Hut. Then I did a lot of different phone jobs. Then I got a full-time job. I've been doing a lot of temp jobs, and I did well in a temp job. And those people opened up a permanent call center, and I got made a team leader. I was an adult professional. It was weird. I was 27. It was like my first real job when I was 27. And I'd been so used to just doing this sort of casual and part-time work. It seemed like a weird thing. I actually, like had to ask my girlfriend at the time, I don't know if should I take this job? And I'm yawning again. Oh my god. Oh. So yeah, should I take this job? And she just looked at me like I was stupid and said, "Of course, take a proper job, you idiot." And so I was a team leader, and that's also where I got into working in IT as a business analyst, because they had like we used three different computer systems to run. This was a call center for an insurance company, and we had three different systems that made up the entire operation. And one day the manager just said to me, "You're the only one who seems to put any thought into how to improve the systems we use. Would you like to be a business analyst?" And I didn't know what that was. And he said, "Oh, I'll go talk to the IT manager." So I talked to the IT manager, who explained what a business analyst does. And I was like, "I reckon I can do that." And so I worked on a little team for a couple of years and learned on the job, as it were. It was good. Still feel like my single biggest achievement in that there'd been a weekly meeting, and that involved and it was basically about what things we should be doing, fixing and changing, and that would have the team leaders from the call center, the manager, the underwriters, and the IT team. And these were horrible, boring meetings that dragged on for 2 hours, and everyone hated them, but we had to have them to set the priorities for what we were doing. And people, you always say how they hated this meeting. And I just said to the boss one day, I said, "If you let me chair that meeting, I can get it over way quicker." And he said, well, you want to take the challenge to it?" And I said, "But you have to back me, because whenever the reason these go on forever is people go off topic. People just drone on about meaningless bullshit and not the stuff we should be talking about. And I need to be able to say, that's meaningless bullshit. We're not talking about that here," and get people back on topic. And he said, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "You too. You need to respect if I say to you, that's off topic. It's not what we're talking about here." And he said, "Okay." And then the first week, I got the meeting down to an hour, when they'd always been like 2+ hours before that. And once I got it streamlined, I'd get the whole thing over in half an hour, less than half an hour, just by pointing out, instead of letting people talk and ramble with bullshit, just point out, that's bullshit. It's not what we're here to talk about. And I would always say, if this is an important thing that has to be resolved, that needs a discussion, then we'll set a separate time to talk about it, but it's not what we're talking about now. And okay. And I just whipped them into line, BDSM style. And hi, nobody. How's it going, by the way? I was just mid-story when you came into the chat too. Justin, you're a policy officer, like working. Oh, you see something in the paper about government announcements, and it's you. It's actually not bad when you see that your job exists. There's some external thing that mentions your job that's got something going for it. Nobody, you're a bit tired, to be expected. I guess it is. I apologize. I'm going to yawn again. You said the word tired, or you typed the word. I apologize if my uncontrollable yawning makes you more tired. I do not know really why I'm yawning. I just straighten my beard. I got someone commented on a year-old video, and this time last year, I'd let my beard get really quite long. It was down to about here, and it was all swirly, and it's just like, oh, I forgot I let my beard get that long at one point. I mean, even this is long. If you look at my really old videos, it's even shorter than that. It's just like that. I kept, and the mustache was shorter on him. Hey, Dr. Bumble, did I see that Dan Andrews met Jacinda Ardern? I did not. I have not looked at a lot of news. I hope they had a good chat. No, geez, that's a bit nasty. Your friend got beaten up by someone else and you've been helping. Well, it's good that they have you there to help, is all I can say. Because yeah, it's like the only thing worse than things going to shit in your life is when there's no one helping you. So good on you for helping out a friend going through a rough patch. It's good. Yeah, Justin, sorry. Yes, yawning's contagious. It is actually technically a form of hypnotism. Most people are susceptible to, if they see someone yawn, it makes them want to yawn. And that is technically a form of hypnotism. That's a fun bit of trivia, isn't it? So it's hypnotism. It's the power of suggestion. essentially. Um, and another one is talking about head lice. Have you ever noticed if someone talks about head lice, uh, you start to feel an itch on your scalp? I used to notice this heaps because when my kids were at school, there's fucking head lice at school every other fucking week. And as soon as someone started talking about head lice, my head would it's getting itchy now. I'm doing it to myself. I'm really struggling to not scratch my head at the moment. There's a fucking killer itch on the side of my head, and I'm trying to pretend it isn't there. Um, it's sort of self hypnosis. Nobody, you get itchy scalp so often, you wouldn't notice. Oh well, that's fair enough. No, but you said Mythbusters or anything about yawning. What did they say about it? Did they explain what it was? Um, uh, I hope they didn't say it wasn't real because it is real. It's definitely real. But it's essentially the power of suggestion, and that's all uh, hypnotism is essentially. It's getting people into a suggestible state and influencing their actions. Like the whole idea of, literally controlling someone and making them do something against their will, that isn't actually possible. Hypnotism is just about putting people into a suggestible state and making them react in ways they didn't think they were going to react. Just when you think they confirmed it, they better have confirmed, because it's purely and simply true that, and it's not universal. Not everyone feels like yawning every time they see someone else yawning, but it's definitely um, uh, a thing. Because you're hearing Hillsong does that. What Hillsong does, and what uh, all evangelical churches uh, and cults of personality and like fascist states do. It's a form of mass hysteria. Um, and that is also relatively easy to do to crowds of people, to get them to act in irrational ways as a group. And that's how they work. Hey, Feeler and Sealer. Nobody, I'm 100% with you. Those weird evangelical churches are fucked as. I mean, simple Christian ideology says, well, they're all going to hell. That's weird. How do they not know that? How do they not, how do they avoid reading the New Testament? Because it would tell them explicitly they're going to hell. Uh, that one does my head in. Justin, what do I think of the cladding announcement? I heard that. There's another thing. It's supposedly because, surprise, surprise, when the building industry has gotten more and more deregulated, fucked things happen. In New South Wales, we have huge apartment blocks that are in danger of falling over, and people who've paid a fortune to live in them are forced to leave, and they've got no way to recoup any money they lost because lack of oversight. And then extremely substandard buildings have been built. And in other parts of the world, including in Victoria, um, we found out a lot of the buildings have cladding on the exterior that's extremely high fire risk, very similar to that stuff that was on those tower blocks in England, where they caught fire and killed a disturbing number of people. And they're not, the thing is, it's not even that big a cost saving. It's fucking, it's just tight fisted corner cutting, and they condemn people to death to save a few bucks. There was a fire in Melbourne on an apartment block that was fortunately contained, but the exterior of the apartment block caught fire and spread a bit. And they realised, oh my God, this building's got really flammable cladding on it too. And, they've found that so many buildings have it. It's overall to correct it will cost billions of dollars. I mean, the fucking developers should be in jail. Dr. Obama, you've been watching Twin Peaks, the reboot, or do you mean the original series and you're wondering if the reboot is any good? I haven't watched the new ones. I heard good things about them. I thought Twin Peaks season 1 was really good and literally ahead of the times, because I remember at the time David Lynch's original goal would be Agent Cooper would never solve the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer. He would just stay in Twin Peaks forever and shit would just get weirder and weirder. But the network couldn't wrap their head around that, and they forced him to put in a solution for who killed Laura Palmer. So they shoehorned in the Bob thing. Although I did think the final episode of season 1 was really quite good when it was revealed that like Bob was a spirit that had possessed Leland Palmer, and he wasn't aware of it, but then Bob made him aware of it. And then season 2 was okay. I thought the ending was kind of shitty. I haven't watched the reboot. I have heard good things about it. But you think about it, David Lynch got told he couldn't have this never-ending shaggy dog story. He just couldn't. People would do it. And what happened a few years later? Lost milked that way beyond the point of reasonableness, and they didn't have the decency to even have any integrity about it. I like to think David Lynch would at least have had integrity about the weirdness of Twin Peaks. I mean, in the years after the end of Lost, when a bunch of stuff didn't get resolved, there was weird stuff that happened that was never answered. The people behind it admitted it. They never intended to explain anything. They were just making up stupid shit. They would get points for making up something really weird, and they'd never intended to tie any of it together, which is bullshit. So David Lynch was cursed with being ahead of his time. Fox, you think you've hit on the weird conspiracy is that people live in the poorer parts get bad treatment. Well, yeah, that was what happened with the Grenfell fire. But what we've found in Australia is no, it's not public housing. It's fucking expensive apartment buildings. Same deal. We found here in Melbourne, expensive apartment buildings have this flammable cladding on the outside. And in Sydney, it wasn't public housing. It was expensive apartment buildings that are so badly built, they're cracking and there's like a real danger they're going to fall down. It's just criminal, basically. Fox, I think that was just an internet meme that Gravity Falls and Twin Peaks are in the same universe. Well, I didn't religiously watch Gravity Falls. For those who don't know it, it's a kid's cartoon and it is very good. There's been a lot of good kids' cartoons in the last 10 years. And Gravity Falls is a Disney one. And it's quite good. It's very weird and quite good. Certainly has a Twin Peaks vibe to it. There's no two ways about that. It has a Twin Peaks vibe. All sorts of supernatural things going on. So, Justin, Mr. Fluffy in Canberra, some guy in the 60s and 70s put asbestos fluff. Oh, no. But we said asbestos was a miracle material. That's why it was everywhere. Asbestos was this miracle material that had stopped your house from burning down, that was great insulation, put it on all sorts of things. And then far, far, far too late, we found out the little, basically invisible glass fibers floated around and you inhaled them and they shredded your fucking lungs, which then resulted you in getting lung cancer. Whoops! Whoops, whoops, whoops. Auntie, yes, asbestos used in brake pads. Asbestos was used in everything. It was used in protective clothing. It was used in tiles. It was used in insulation. Um, it was a miracle. It was a miracle thing. It's just that it took us far too long to work out that it was actually releasing these basically invisible glass fibers that were being breathed in and ripping the interior of your lungs apart and giving you cancer. Yay! Oh yes, Philly's here. I heard Taika Waititi had been confirmed to direct the next Thor movie, which is damn good news. Ah, Line Spider, hello there. Justin, good point. It is still everywhere. Um, Slightly less than it used to be, but because it was so many places, they keep finding asbestos in like schools and offices and apartments. It's everywhere. Humans are so smart. We're so smart. Um, oh, we're so smart. We fucking fuck ourselves up repeatedly. And you wait, in the coming decades, we are going to see absolutely insane bullshit, desperate Hail Mary climate change solutions, and they will have horrible consequences. I'm just, I'm not saying this based on, I know for a fact what's going to happen. I'm literally just looking at human history and the dumb shit humans do. I have no doubt whatsoever uh, in the coming decades, it's going to happen more than once. Uh, we're going to get these ideas of stupid, fucking extreme climate change solutions that will have hideous side effects. People are already saying it, like, spray shit in the atmosphere to block out the sun. It's like, yeah, what could possibly go fucking wrong, honestly? Oh, no, Line Spider, you had a problem that SES wouldn't get in your house for storm damage because they saw the roof was asbestos. Oh my God. How's that allowed to go on? Dr. Bummer, do I think the Libs will take climate action? No. Um, they're too wedded to their lies at this point. It's ridiculous. Well, further in ceiling, you're saying you had the asbestos faux plaster on your ceiling, didn't affect anyone. There's two things. It doesn't affect everyone. Like when we say something causes cancer, it doesn't mean um, everyone who comes into contact with it uh, gets cancer. It means having it in the environment causes cancer in a number of people who otherwise would not have gotten cancer. Um, so it doesn't get everyone. So it is a real lot of. It's even the thing like when the medical authorities finally said like it's not really in doubt anymore. We've kind of known it for ages, but we now really know bacon and other cured salted meats are carcinogenic. But again, it's on the comparatively mild thing. It's like if 100 people with no other risk factors eat X amount of uh, bacon in their lives, three in that 100 will contract a cancer they would not have otherwise gotten, and lose a couple years of life. See, Justin's giant mirror thing. I'm just talking. I don't. That's not so much Mr. Burns. That's uh, Professor Wernstrom on Futurama. I think they used the giant mirror to deflect the sun to try and reduce global warming. But worshipping cheese is a lifesaver. I too worship cheese. The lifesaver thing's incidental. I just worship cheese. I did see one of those cheese articles with a dumb as shit headline. It's like the media just shamelessly does dumb as shit, exaggerating, hyperbolic headlines. And like one of them was saying that cheese cures everything, and it's or cures all forms of death, and it's just like that's such a fucking dumb thing to say. And it undermines everything. It's just so freaking ridiculous. Feeler and Celia have to pry bacon from your cold dead hands. That might happen. That might happen. Yeah, I mean, at some point, uh, with all these things that can kill you, a bit fatalistic, and I think humans generally do this, get a bit fatalistic and go, well, something's going to kill me, so there's this thing that I like, and I'm not giving it up. And if I lose a couple of years of life, say la vie, I had a better time while I was here. Like alcohol's carcinogenic, and um, the cured meats aren't the only popular food that's carcinogenic, and you know living in cities, let's get real, living in cities is carcinogenic. The amount of concentrated, and I'm not even just saying that to be cynical, we know the amount of concentrated pollution in cities causes a really significant number of premature deaths, not just from cancer. Apparently, the scientists are quite sure that urban pollution causes dementia in a certain number of people, because it's just fucking your body up, attacking all your organs, including your brain. That's cheery, isn't it? We're all dying. Dr. Brum, who's the best Dem nominee right now? Um, Elizabeth Warren, I guess, would be mine. Uh, I know some people are still diehard Bernie Sanders fans, but I don't know. There's just a few things about Bernie Sanders that shit me. I mean, I think there's a really big gap uh, between. I mean, yeah, no, honestly, between Warren, Sanders, and the rest of the Democratic nominees, I think there's a huge gap. I honestly think the rest of them are shit. And I mean, the whole thing with there being 20 plus of them, it's like, oh, come on, wake the fuck up. Can 15 of you just fuck off, please? The weird thing is, you don't know which 15 because that American system is so weird and it drags on for so long um, that um, you can't, like a year out, you can't pick who's going to get the nomination. You can't even pick who's going to be the front runner. You look at all the previous cycles, and so often someone looks like they're a done deal, and they just disappear without a trace. It's a very weird system, very weird system. And if I could live in any alternative timeline, which if you mean different period in history, I mean, I'd prefer the future. Am I able to jump back and forth in time, or am I going somewhere and staying there? Because I'll be completely honest. If I'm going back in, I don't want to go back anywhere. Um, no, no, there's too many things in our modern world. I don't want to give up. If I was time traveling, going to stay there, and I had the choice of the future or the past, I'd go the future. I'm interested in what will happen in the future more than I am in experiencing something from the past. Not saying the past is without its charms, but yeah, I'm not one who romanticizes times in the past. I have no real desire to go anywhere in the past. So yeah. Oh yeah. Nobody's saying if your friends are LGBTI, that's not good. If your friends are anything apart from a straight white male, as you go further back in time, the worse of an idea it is. But yeah, um, I've got no real desire to go back unless I can jump back and forth. And if I can jump back and forth, then I'll make a couple of astute stock market investments and come back to this time to my millions. That is a really, I mean, Trump. Okay, Miss Foxification said a quote from a Business Insider magazine. Trump says he's lost his friends because they have respect for the office of presidency. God, he says dumb shit. I mean, did anyone ask him why don't you have any friends, or does he know he has no friends and he just felt compelled um, to make shit up? That's what I want to know. Oh, so Dr. Obama, you are literally talking about changing timelines. That's not a bad one where Al Gore wins instead of George W. Bush, because a bunch of terrible fucking shit went wrong solely because George W. Bush was US president. No way of knowing if things would have been particularly better under Gore. It's hard to imagine them being worse, honestly. That's harsh, Nova. Um, No, you notice, now we're speaking about Trump, you notice him just blatantly whipping up the racists this week, just saying, those four new congresswomen go back where they came from because they're not white, even though three of the four were born in America. And it's just like, he and his cronies have started saying the quiet parts out loud. They're saying, like, the politicians who are pandering to a racist base, they do uh, the racist dog whistling, which some people are confused by the term. What it means? Dog whistles are whistles that resonate at a frequency that humans can't hear, but dogs can. So the idea of politicians dog whistling is you don't hear them say anything racist, but the racists hear it. They use a code that the racists understand, uh, and so they haven't straight out said black people are awful and terrible and inferior, but Ronald Reagan refers to welfare queens who are exploiting the system. And we all know he meant black single mothers. And uh, Hillary and Bill Clinton talked about, they were being law and order, they talked about super predators that we needed to have harsher punishments for. We all know they were talking about black men. Um, so, racist dog whistling. But Trump and his cronies have stopped dog whistling and started megaphoning. Um, Trump just whipping up a crowd to saying, send them home, even though America's their home. But the obvious thing is, well, they're not white, are they? So they're not white. We get to just vent spleen. I mean, like, he is seriously going to get Ilhan Omar killed. I assume she has really quite rigorous security because the way Trump and Fox News and the rest of the freaks whip up the hatred against her, they're straight up going to get her killed. There will be people planning it now. I know what Trump he wants me to do. I'm going to do it. It's fucking outrageous. And there's even the weird thing, like one of his mutant spokespeople. It was Kellyanne Conway when the journalists are there, and one of them said to her, like, "Do you think what the president's done is racist?" And she just does that evil look she has and said, "What ethnicity are you?" Like, she's just going on, "You don't look white to me, so you don't get to ask that question." And I was like, what the fuck? Then, it's like they're saying the quiet bit out loud. You're meant to, publicly go, "Oh, freedom, equality," and sort of quietly go, "Except for the ones we don't like." And now they're just shouting, "We hate those people who aren't white like us." It's like, okay, wow, what the fuck? I was at Fox Event. Innuendo Studios have a video on the death of euphemism. Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. Politicians and media used to use euphemisms for their slurring of racial, ethnic, uh, religious, sexuality minorities. Now they just fucking say it. They just say it. Auntie, do I think someone should assassinate Trump? No, I think that would be a very, 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 very bad idea. That would be terrible. Um, do I think some people would celebrate? Probably. They're fucked people out there. Um, Same as one of Trump's drones kills Ilhan Omar. A whole fucking bunch of people would celebrate. In fact, I think more people would celebrate that openly. Um, but I mean, I've said before, I'm really concerned about Trump because people occasionally say, like, oh, is someone going to lead off Trump? I go, well, no, I don't think they will, but I think it would be a bad idea because I think uh, his lunatic fringe supporters would go ballistic at that point. But, there's all these other things like Trump could just drop dead. He's old and unfit and under a lot of stress. He could easily just drop dead. And you've seen the absolutely deranged conspiracy theories these people fixate on. There is literally no question if Trump died, there would be a chunk of crazies who would refuse to accept anything other than it being an assassination, like they poisoned him. And God knows, maybe they do. This is the weird thing. Maybe they do nothing, but maybe they do something really extreme. And I mean, as it comes down to next election, if Trump loses, I still think Trump is the most likely winner of the next presidential election. But say he loses, they'll refuse to accept it. Trump will refuse to accept it. He'll say it was fraud and whatnot. And fuck knows what his supporters will do. Maybe nothing. Maybe they're all talk. Maybe they do something incredibly fucking dangerous. And even if Trump wins the next election, finishes his second term, and has to leave, there's a big chunk of these fucking lunatics who wouldn't accept that. And fuck knows what they do. Fuck knows what they do. Oh. Hey, Luke, how are you, by the way? It's the thing. What's that feeling? Oh, you're talking about yes, a lot of people have been horrified by Vice President Pence at the fucking concentration camp for asylum seekers and just his not giving a shit. That just less than human reaction from him, the total lack of empathy is quite disturbing to see. Like, he's just a fucking monster. Again, he's one of these evangelical Christians who are so obsessed with power that they just will do anything for it. They will do anything in um, worship of power, and it's quite terrifying. Like even if it was the simplest, I don't, I just can't figure out. They're all the only reason they're not going to hell is hell doesn't exist. That their whole ideology is a fucking lie, and they're really lucky. They're really lucky because if even a tenth of the ideology they purport to follow was true, they would be going straight to fucking hell because by biblical definitions, they're evil as fuck. Um, they are Satan's little puppets walking the earth. They are just terrible. Look, I did see that Scummo was at Hillsong or something. It's just like, well, I think the crazy's going to come out in the next year with the LNP because, and this is the thing, and I can't stress this strongly enough. Scott Morrison is a delusional whack job who literally believes his election win was a miracle from God. He now actually believes he's been anointed by God through a miracle. And I personally find that absolutely fucking terrifying because he was never a humble person, but he now believes it's not possible for him to do anything wrong. And also, the Libs are already starting with their psychotic industrial relations attacks now. I think over the coming year, they're going to get really fucking psycho on industrial relations, and we're going to have huge fucking strikes and protests and whatnot. Look, will they have New Start? No, no. People on the dole are scum. People on sickness benefits are scum. People on pensions are scum. I think I'm fucking Ahmed. What do I think of right wingers obsessed with the plight of Christians? Well, I think the same thing about right wingers who will come up with say, "Oh, Christians are being persecuted in the Middle East." The only reason they say that, and there is truly awful stuff happening to religious minorities in various parts of the world, and there are lots of parts of the world where Christians are a religious minority, and they are suffering persecution. The only reason those scumbags talk about the oppression of Christians in some countries is so they can talk about Christians being oppressed while they exert complete power and complete impunity in Western democracies. They just want to play the victim. It's the same reason these evangelical Christians who are deeply fucking anti-Semitic say they're friends of Israel. Well, they do it for two reasons. I can think of three reasons, actually. The creepiest one is their Armageddon fetish. That there's a particular evangelical reading of the book of Revelations that the state of Israel is required to exist because that's where the Antichrist will rise and the rapture will happen. So they need the state of Israel to exist. Second, it's like, a little puppet state in the Middle East, and they want that as well. And third, they're just, they use that as an excuse for a lot of their Islamophobia. They go, well, because these Muslim countries hate Israel, they're bad. And if you say anything else, you're also anti-Semitic. And it's just like, well, get fucked. Auntie, is it illegal to be Jewish or Christian in Saudi Arabia? Maybe. It's also illegal to be an atheist, gay. Why we're I was about to say why we're friends with Saudi Arabia. I don't know. Except I do oil and because we like the idea of a totalitarian state being the most powerful Arab state, and it's kind of technically politically friends with Western countries. It's fucking sick. That is another good point, Ahmed. Mexicans are broadly very, very Catholic, but yes, evangelical Christians hate them for Mexican more than they love them for being Christian. It's just hypocrisy. It's just common or garden variety hypocrisy. And as I said, if their teachings were even remotely true, they'd all be going straight to hell. So they're really lucky that it's all lies, or they'd all be going straight to hell. Oh, God, yeah, that's another one that's going to come up. Nobody. Morrison saying, "We're going to introduce religious freedom laws." It's like, get fucked. Religions have all the fucking freedom in the world. They are literally saying what they want to do is legislate legally permissible discrimination, and it's just psycho fucked bullshit. Absolutely evil. To just go, oh, you know what? If someone says it's their religion to hate a particular group, they should be allowed. And watch them tie themselves in knots to try and say only Christians are allowed to do this without saying only Christians are allowed to do this. Because there are some really aggressive Muslims out there. And if you start saying you can do whatever the fuck you want in the name of your religion, then there are some people who'll do some really fucked things. As it's absolutely ridiculous. And yes, misfoxification, I agree. The idea of churches being tax exempt is bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. So that's a fun one to bring up again, Fielder and Sealer. The idiot missionary who went to the North Sentinel Island and got killed. And yeah, some Christians thought that people on that island should be punished according to other countries. There's so much wrong with that. So much wrong with that. But yes. Ugh. Okay, Dr. Brown, what do I think? Do I think children from political dynasties and children think they're born to lead? Yes, the idea of political dynasties is sick and wrong and dangerous. I mean, it has a history, quite honestly. It isn't a new thing, but it's sick and wrong. You know, the more likely it is, like this person is going to rise to power because their parents rose to power. They're going to follow in the family tradition. England has a long history of that. It's fucked and wrong. And you see, you think we pay too much tax? I don't. I just think companies and the wealthy should pay so much fucking more. Um, they're massive fucking scammers, and they should be made to pay a reasonable amount. Because the only reason you get that much money is by being an exploitative shitbag, and you need to be fucking called to account for that. As far as I get, yes, I'm a filthy commie who wants to tax the rich and tax the big companies who are ripping the wealth out of the country and ripping off their employees. Fuck them. Yeah, no. I'm at that point. I'm a very sort of rebel rouser agitator on the front of rampant crony capitalism that we see these days. Dr. Rome, you've heard the South Australian state Liberals are losing their corporate base. What have they done wrong? Oh no. State politics, how weird. There's some people who think there shouldn't be states. There should only be a federal government. Um, uh, and this is weird. I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect political system. Any political system is going to have uh, failings. Any political system will, at least at times, treat some people unfairly and hurt the most vulnerable. Uh, Anyone who thinks their dream political system won't fuck over people who are vulnerable is delusional. In fact, the people who are so married to any political structure, whether it's capitalism or socialism or communism or monarchy or whatever, and they think it's perfect and no one gets in there. Those people are dangerous. Those people are dangerous zealots who are disconnected from reality. I think politics, public life, society generally needs a sort of constant tension of, well, these people aren't doing so well. We need to swing things that way. And you swing over, oh, no, these people aren't doing so well. Purely because people are different. Everyone says, oh, could you ever get everyone to agree? I go, no, because people are different. People see things differently. People receive messages and information differently and form different opinions as a result. People are never going to agree on everything. And any group that had absolute power, no matter how good their intentions were, no matter how honorably they started, no matter how much integrity they had when they started, history shows us anyone with unchecked power is corrupted by that power, and things start to slide. So you need the tension of there being opposition to any political movement, any political party, any sort of economic model, you need the tension of an opposition to it. Keep the bastards honest, as the saying goes. Albie, let's give anarchy a go. Well, see, the thing is, I don't think anarchy lends itself to large populations. I think anarchy as a society model, and in case anyone thinks anarchy just means chaos, not when you're talking about political systems. That's decentralized power. There's like no hierarchical power structure. In fact, weirdly enough, I'm not joking, Albie. I take anarchism, anarcho-syndicalism as a political movement quite seriously. I just don't think it would lend itself to large populations. I think it's far more useful for smaller populations. Interestingly, if you've ever wanted to understand how it works, weirdly, a really good explanation is in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when King Arthur comes across the peasants and he's telling them he's king, and they go, "How'd you get to be king? I didn't vote for you." And they go, "Well, what are you?" And he goes, "Well, we're an anarcho-syndicalist commune." They actually give a good explanation of anarcho-syndicalism. And the difference between it's just a flavor of anarchy as a system. Syndicalism means as in syndicates, as in people form syndicates. It's like associations, and as they say in the Holy Grail, they go, it's a rotating sort of decision-making body. We take it as turns to act as a sort of executive leader, but any decisions of that leader must be ratified by a simple majority in cases of day-to-day stuff, or a 2/3 majority in a case of more important issues. It's this really, really, really funny sequence, but it's also an actual good explanation of anarcho-syndicalism. But I think that only lends itself to smaller populations, not huge urban populations like we have. Justin, do I think Dan Andrews would make a good PM? Maybe. I think he makes a pretty good premier. Again, it's like I'm not into hero worship with him. There are a few dodgy things happening with Victorian Labor, and that's what I mean about you can't leave people unchecked. I mean, I'm quite a strong supporter of the Andrews government here in Victoria, but you can't leave that shit unchecked, because people will do dodgy shit, convinced they're doing it for good reasons. But they need to be kept in check, basically. Mofo's Iron. It's Brian, for those who don't know, did a video with Brian over the weekend. Yes, competition is good. There needs to be competition. There needs to be tension between competing ideas. Someone just goes ahead with never being challenged, and that always ends up going wrong. Oh yeah, I mean, that's the weirdest thing in North America generally. Certainly, you're citing Canada, but in America, there's this weird narrative in public discourse, and it's a little bit worldwide, but definitely in North America, where they go on about, universities is all just communism and the free speech of conservatives is being trampled. But when you look at what's actually happening, it's right-wingers attacking, threatening, and silencing anyone left-wing. That's what's actually happening. But this ridiculous narrative has taken hold, and it's the complete opposite of what's happening. It's bizarre. Dr. Barrow, I think Australia would be worse off or better off if Houston won in 93. Worse off. Houston was a hyper conservative person on economic policy and industrial relations. But we got staved off him. But then fucking John Howard came back and John Howard fucked this country. The worst, besides his psychopathic industrial relations policy, John Howard fucking entrenched racism as a central part of Australian political discourse. He's a piece of shit. He's real fucking garbage. He fucked the country economically. He robbed the people of Australia of billions upon billions of dollars from the mining boom, which should have gone to the people of Australia, but he let private enterprise suck all that money out of the country. So they just, siphoned billions of dollars out of this country into tax havens. John Howard was a fucking disaster as a prime minister. He was divisive, he was brutal, and he mainstreamed racism in Australian politics. And we're still suffering because of the fuckery of John Howard, basically. Yeah, Mr. Sheffield, he sold everything, let infrastructure run down. He fucked the economy. He fucked Australia socially. He's just a piece of shit. John Howard's just fucked. Basically, Dr. Obama, you think if Houston won, the country would have been more progressive today? Well, actually, yeah, talking about alternate timelines, if Houston had won, I think he would have fucked things. But John Howard never would have been prime minister. And then by extension, probably Tony Abbott never would have risen, because it was John Howard who kind of lifted Tony Abbott up. Who knows? Alternate timelines are just that. Anything happened. Oh yeah, that was another one, misfoxication. Howard relaxed all the media ownership laws, and we lost all the original content. We lost all the diversity in print, radio, and TV media, and we gotten absolutely dominated by US content here. Basically, Howard did everything wrong. Howard did everything to enrich an incredibly tiny number of people and fuck over the overwhelming majority of people. Like I said, socially, culturally, economically, he just fucked this country, and we're still paying for it. Oh my God, that's another thing, Justin. He was the most slavish arse licker for George W. Bush on the entire world stage. Nobody sucked up to George Bush more than John Howard. It's frankly embarrassing. Dr. Obama, he didn't call Obama a terrorist. He said the terrorists want Obama to win. I mean, which is absolutely fucking unprecedented for an Australian prime minister to say that about someone running for president. But Howard's just a piece of shit. Howard is fucking garbage. And there's this ridiculous thing like, oh, he's great. He was the prime minister for so long. He did so much good. No, he fucked the economy. He tried to fuck everyone over with industrial relations. He fucked us culturally by, deregulating media ownership laws. Like I said, he made racism a central part of Australian political discourse. Yeah, Justin, I don't mind calling him a war criminal by slavishly following George Bush into a completely fake war, a war on false premises. He's just a piece of shit. Howard is just a fucking abomination. And the idea that people gloss over that everything he did was wrong. Everything he did was wrong. It's just like, fucking hell. Or people sometimes trot out, oh, well, he took the hard case with gun reform. And yes, he did. And that wasn't an easy political decision. And it did cost him and it did cost the coalition. Okay. And I will actually give him that. So I shouldn't say he did everything wrong. He made a difficult political choice and he stuck to it despite the cost. And so there was that. Everything else is fucked. Told you where you heard Van Batten say, wish Rudd never got backstabbed. Honestly, I wish Rudd never got backstabbed. But by extension, I wish Rudd hadn't been such a horrible, egotistical, narcissistic, psycho, grumpy shit that literally no one could work with. He brought that on himself. It was still a bad thing. I wish it didn't happen. But I mean, I wish he didn't create the circumstance that led to it happening. I think it was a bad thing. But he created the circumstances that led to it happening. And, you know, he still doesn't accept responsibility for his fucking behavior. I'm just looking something up that I saw the other day. Yes, I'm thinking of making a drink because that's a thing I do. And I saw one the other day that sounded good. An Irish Manhattan. Because I've got some Irish whiskey and I haven't been drinking it. It's Irish whiskey with vermouth and the maraschino liqueur, which I have. So I'm thinking of doing that. Well, there's a few different variations. Oh, look, there are a few bloody variations on this. But I'm going to make my own version of an Irish Manhattan, I think. I think this is not a shaken one. This is a stirred one. Some just say maraschino cherry, but the one I saw that got my attention was using maraschino liqueur, which I have. So I think at the hot halfway mark, I'll make one of those. Oh yeah, good question, Brian. I hope at least some of you saw the video where Brian and I discussed how to improve democracy, and we spent quite a bit of time talking about citizen juries. Did anyone see that, and what did you think of that? Oh, nobody? Evening meds kicking in, got to go to bed. Take care of yourself. Go out. Oh, geez. Oh, sorry, just Miss Fox question. You're looking at news things. The establishment is putting their money to back Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, and Kamala Harris. That's hardly surprising. They are the establishment. I think Pete Buttigieg is also around, but Joe Biden is so fucking shit. He's terrible. Ooh, wait, I have a phone call. Let me get this. Oh, what was that? I missed it. Yeah. Let me get this, and I'm going to get my stuff to make a drink. Hey, did you call me? Okay, what's happening? Go to sleep. Yeah. Okay. So okay, so you're gonna make your own way into the city tomorrow. All right. No, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, bye. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, bye. All right, that's just young Mr. Angry out with his friends. Mims is coming in so. All right, so this is going to be a stirred drink, not a shaken one. Look, ice. Let's see. We want. This is my Irish whiskey hiding down the back because I've been drinking it. Jamsons. All right, so we want this Irish whiskey. You're going to come over here, Mimsy, or not? You're going to be rude. Some vermouth. And maraschino liqueur. Maybe some bitters. A little bit of bitters. All right. You want to come over here, Mimsy? No, you're going to hide in the corner. You can do that. Fiona, you had whiskey and rye for the first time. Rye is whiskey. Rye is a different sort of whiskey. The main sorts of whiskey are obviously Scotch and bourbon, and Irish whiskey, and Canadian whiskey is like rye and rye whiskey. So, wait, I thought I had a bloody jigger. Where's my jigger? Yeah. Okay. Lindsay doesn't want to come and say hello. You're not going to, no? You're going to go out there. Whatevs. Whatevs, cat. You do that. Albie, I did a live stream the other day. It reminded you of the leaked Rudd tape. What was the leaked Rudd tape? I'm having trouble working out what you're referencing. All right. Irish whiskey. Da, da, da. And okay, the myth. I'm not doing it in the proper glass, and you're not supposed to have ice in a Manhattan either, but I'm just being me, honestly. We're talking about a tape of Rudd swearing. Rudd was a real swearer. My favourite thing he did when he was promoting something was getting rid of some government perks. He was trying to make the government be more like ordinary people, cutting back on some of their perks, and we're going to get rid of these particular benefits that people in the government get that no one else gets, to show everyone we're just like them. And there was a bit of rumbling from the caucus that they didn't like it because, they liked their perks, basically. And Rudd apparently we found out these people were whining and complaining. He just burst into the party room and just went, listen, fuck up. You cunts are going to do this because this is the right fucking thing to do, and I don't want to hear any shit from you, you fuckwits. They were like, okay. Gibbs in a bad mood. Oh, wow. Safa, you've been at footy training. Better you than me. Not a fan of you. So it's a nice colour, isn't it? It's a nice sort of amber colour. Dr. Barmer, I wouldn't be surprised if Keating swore behind the scenes. But Keating had control. He would have done it in really controlled ways. Rudd was a bit of a loose cannon. Keating was a bit more controlled. That's fine. What's that? Oh, that's not bad at all, actually. I made this one a bit on speculation because I forget where I saw it the other day, but I did see it the other day. I thought it sounded interesting. It's not bad. An Irish Manhattan. Safa, 5 degrees feels like 2.5 outside. Yeah, it's usually noticeably more brutal in regional Victoria than it is in Melbourne. I always feel sorry I think, oh, we're having a colder day today. Then you see the temperatures in the regional areas and it's so much colder. And in summer, it's so much hotter in the regional areas. Justin, I tend to agree with you that I wish they were a bit more honest and sincere and swore. Safa, what was Dubbo being in the news for? My old hometown. Probably nothing good. It's kind of if I hear that Dubbo's in the news, I do not expect it to be for a good reason. I expect it to be for a dodgy reason. Ooh, I like this, Ahmed. A real story. You served Tony Abbott and you were server at a private function for a billionaire's private dinner. Abbott kept moving the glass when you tried to serve wine. He's trying to get me to spill. What was it? Was he trying to cause a scene, or did he think it was funny, or was he going to complain if you spilled? I mean, he's a dick. I can imagine 10 different reasons he'd have for being a dick like that. All right, so it's just trolling. He thought it would be funny if he made you miss the glass. I was supposed to say Rudd would verbally abuse Wayne Goss when he was Queensland Premier. Ah, well, maybe Wayne Goss needed it. Who knows? Uh, yeah. No, I've said it heaps of times. His own staff, the people who were closest to Rudd, who liked him the most, who supported him the most, they said from a very early stage in his prime ministership, he didn't sleep enough. He was literally only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, uh, and it was making him grumpy and irrational. And that ended up undermining his prime ministership. And yes, Mofo sign, that is one of the best things that happened in the Rudd Gillard years when the global financial crisis hit. You had all these other Western governments go, oh, no, we have to cut back on spending, the very austerity, austerity. And Labor went, oh, shit, we have to keep the economy moving. We have to spend. We have to get everyone to spend. We have to spend government money on infrastructure building. We're going to do this big building program for schools and community groups because that's going to keep a whole bunch of people in work and keep money flowing through the economy. Because if we take money out of the economy, we're all fucked. And they were absolutely right. And you just look what happened, like in England in particular, it was fucked and threw people to the wolves. And when the next recession happens, which is going to be in the next year or two, the LNP will throw us to the fucking wolves. They will not do a goddamn thing to help the economy. They will not do a goddamn thing to help people. They will panic. They will do everything wrong. And everyone will be left to fend for them fucking selves. And businesses will go out of business. And unemployment will go up. And we'll be fucked. We'll be fucked. Oh, Dr. Brahman, no, the Rudd thing wasn't insomnia. He was a workaholic and obsessive. He's not lying up awake with insomnia. He's lying awake reading documents and writing speeches and studying briefings. He was just an obsessive workaholic, and it had an extremely negative impact on his ability to function. But you think Rudd's like Elon Musk? You mean like with being the workaholic? To the best of my knowledge, Elon Musk doesn't abuse people and swear at them, although he's very childish on Twitter. And like when he called that guy from that cave rescue a pedo just because the guy said rightly and accurately Elon Musk's idea of a little submarine to go and rescue the kids trapped in the flooded caves was fucking stupid. Um, so Elon Musk is certainly immature and petulant and narcissistic. Um, uh, but yeah, I don't know what there is beyond that. That's why do you think Rudd should go to the US as a poly? He'd be good because he came up in the foreign service. Um, but I mean, basically, he burnt all these bridges. He uh, alienated too many people. And that's disappointing because he had so much potential. He had so much going for him, and he blew it. Quite honestly, people who he still has these diehard supporters who go, "Oh, he was martyred. He was martyred." Oh, Dr. Barmer, I love it. Go for a hot take. I disagree with you completely, but I applaud anyone who goes for hot takes. You're saying you're glad Rudd backstabbed Gillard. Childhood Times about Gillard hate train was a diehard Rudd supporter. Yeah, look, I mean, I think the whole offing leaders is a bad idea. I was super surprised at Turnbull offing Abbott because it was incredibly obvious Abbott was leading the LNP to an electoral defeat. Like the whole country was so fucking pissed off at him. It was obvious Abbott was leading the LNP to an electoral defeat. What I thought Turnbull was going to do was sit on the sidelines, wait for Abbott to lead the Libs to defeat, and then take over in opposition and rebuild and come back. Because Turnbull was always so full of himself. Turnbull was always so sure he was born to rule. But I thought he'd let Abbott go down in a screaming heap, but he actually wanted revenge on Abbott. And in the somewhat unprecedented step, he offed Abbott when he was still in power. And then he just barely held on to power at the election, which I was a bit surprised by. But I honestly, I couldn't fucking believe that then the Libs did it again and did a spill on Turnbull. But then, what the fuck do I know? Because they won the fucking election. So, damn. Suffer, it wasn't just you. Everyone thought Abbott was scary. Abbott was a very effective opposition leader, but an abominably bad prime minister. He was incapable of getting anything done because he was just so abrasive. Ooh, what's this misclassification? You have first-hand info, surveillance aircraft, facial recognition, monitoring. Oh, geez, they're already freaking talking about it. What's that? You're saying surveillance, they rolled on NT's going countrywide. Well, they already said they were going to do it in New South Wales. It was going to be the ticketing system for the transport in New South Wales. They were going to use facial recognition to debit your bank account for your transport. Things is governments love this shit. Governments love surveillance, and it's very hard to talk them out of it. It's wild. I mean, and they'll sell it on national security and anti-terrorism, and I sadly think the media will jump right in and walk in lockstep with the government. Yeah, I think you're probably spot on that our future is an almost constant surveillance state. As if I'm one in the US, England's notorious for the number of CCTV cameras surveilling people everywhere. A fun one in the US that the spy services use is fake mobile phone towers. Like they actually work, but the towers aren't put there by the phone companies. The towers are put there by the spy agencies, and your phone communicates with these towers, and they just suck in all the information about. They basically track people's movement through these fake mobile phone towers, and that's a known thing that happens in the US. That's it, Mofo. Stingray. Yes, that's what they call it. This Fox, you got about 6 surveillance cameras within a minute's walk of your doorstep, but the cops have problems because the council pruned trees that block the cameras. So yeah, it is almost unavoidable that we are heading for a total surveillance future with our phone tracking us, cameras using facial recognition, every transaction of everything we do being tracked. Um, and you get these ridiculous people who say, "Oh, if you got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about." And it's just like, the naivety of you have to be a criminal to be in fear of the government is ridiculous. And this is the thing, it's like you often get people's like, if your team's in power, you think everything's okay. And you don't give a shit if they have these really over the top surveillance and prosecution powers, because you are convinced that your guys will only use them against people you don't like. It's just you have to take into account, no matter how naive you are in thinking that the political party you support won't hurt you, whatever power they have, they're going to lose power eventually. And then the political party that you really don't like is going to have all that power. It was like the ridiculous things like with Obama supporters turning a complete blind eye to his expansion of surveillance state in the US and around the world, and punishment of whistleblowers, and expansion of fucking drone bombings. It's like, look, we love Obama. It's just like, fuck, every bit of power you just let him have, the next one who gets in there is going to have that power. And that's the thing. Obama was just expanding power that Bush had. When Bush was giving himself all this extra power, you had people who were, anti-Republican, saying, "Oh, it's terrible! Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!" And all Bush's supporters going, "Woo! More, 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 more!" Bush loses power. Obama comes in, and it's like, "Oh no!" And then all the people who excused all the shit Obama did, and then fucking Trump comes in, and it's like, "Oh no!" And all the fuckwit Trump supporters who are so happy about the horrible shit he's doing, he's not staying in power forever. And I think you're a fool if you believe a political party you support is always acting in your best interest and doesn't abuse their power. I think you're an absolute fool if you believe that. But even if that were true, even if it were true that you were safe while that political party was in control, they're not in control forever. The people you don't like eventually inherit all that power. It's such a bad. Governments hate giving up power. They love expanding their power and they hate giving it up. Sometimes massive pressure forces them to relinquish some of those powers, but it's so uncommon, so uncommon. What are you doing, Kat? You gonna come and say, gonna come and say hello? Did you hear about a Chinese person who stole an Aussie's passport, 3D printed mask of the man's image? I did not hear that. That doesn't sound very plausible. I'm fairly convinced there is no plausible 3D mask printing technology. There's nothing that doesn't look like a mask, basically. He got caught. Of course, he got caught because makeup technology is not that convincing. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. That's a good point, this foxification. We all worry about, companies have bad privacy policies. Like, people started getting worked up about FaceApp, and FaceApp had another burst of popularity with the age filter. Going, it's got a really shitty privacy policy. They're saying they own this, that, and that. And in fact, their privacy policy is honestly not worse than Facebook or Twitter. People were just indulging in a bit of hyperbole quite honestly. Um, uh, but yeah, even if there was a tech company that you trusted because they had a really good privacy policy, tech companies go out of business all the time. They get bought by other people, and they get bought by someone who has a really shitty private privacy policy, and suddenly all your personal data that you thought was safe is being sold by the new company. Come up and say hello, Mimsy. Up here. What you doing? No, come up here. No, here. No, 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 no. Yeah. What are you doing? No, oh my God, you're cheeky. Don't do that. Don't climb up in the kitchen. Come up here. Come up here and say hello. Come up here. Up here. God, she's been difficult. Pugwash, it is funny. Could you imagine going back in time for the tinfoil hat brigade from the 80s, 90s, who was so convinced the government was surveilling everything they did, and then telling them of a future where people voluntarily gave up all this personal information, and enabled themselves to be surveilled constantly, it would do the head in of conspiracy theorists from the 80s and 90s that huge swaths of the population would voluntarily submit themselves to that level of surveillance, that they would give up all their identifying information. Um, One of the weirder ones as well, this was only a few years ago, someone did this. I think they were in Russia. They just took pictures of people on public transport, with their phone, and then they went and did reverse image searches, and they found the people's social media profiles, and then they mined the people's internet presence for information. And in a lot of cases, this person was able to find where they worked and where they lived. And yeah, and then he contacted these people and said, "Hi, Sergey. Look, here's an interesting thing. I did an experiment. I was taking pictures of people on the subway, and I took yours. And just by taking your photo in a public place, I was able to track down where you live and where you work. You might want to reconsider what information you put on the open internet." Yeah, but go back and watch that old Will Smith movie, Enemy of the State, which was a somewhat fanciful movie about the surveillance state. And yeah, the surveillance now is actually more extreme than the fictional surveillance that's in that movie. So oh my God. See, this is why I love misapplication with all your tech work. You you did months of research and you found only two antivirus products that don't sell data. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, that's the thing. As the saying, when people say everything's a transaction, something's always being sold. And if you're using something and you can't work out what the product is, the product's you. If you're using a free product like YouTube or uh, any Google product or Facebook or Twitter, and what's about you're the product? Like you think, oh no, the products are the ads on there. No, 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 no. You're the product. Um, they're selling you to the ads. That's really. Oh wow, was it the two that don't sell data? One's Korean and won't sell to the foreign market. There's NCSoft. They let you use a fake name. Ah. Pugwash, if you can sell this video, I give you my permission. I tried to be philosophical in the early days of YouTube, and let's be fair, my channel was more popular 10 years ago than it is now. That's just life. I have not adapted to the changes on YouTube. But So my videos were all over the fucking internet. People were ripping them from YouTube and uploading them to other platforms. And people would send me links. Oh, it's on here. It's on here. And I would very rarely bother sending takedown notices to these other sites. Sometimes I would, but very rarely. And it was people say, "Oh, aren't you upset?" I said, yeah, I actually don't like that these people are stealing my content and hoping to somehow profit from stealing stuff I've created. But I'm trying to be philosophical. If someone can make money off something that I've done, then that points to, well, it's possible for me to make money from it. You know, I just have to hustle as hard as that particular criminal does. Um, so I tried to be philosophical. I mean, and I was trying to be philosophical because it was impossible to stop these people. EMS verification, free advertising. See, the thing is, I was also trying to be philosophical. Even if someone made money, even if someone managed to promote something I'd made on another platform and get 1 million views or whatever, um, and make popular, they can't make any more content. They can't make any more of my content. So if they did something that got popular and people um, uh, um, yeah, if they made something really popular and then people wanted more of it, the people who stole it can't deliver more to the public. So I was being philosophical and say, if it got really popular, it would come back to, well, they need to come back to me for the content. Um, so I mean, yeah, sometimes you just don't want to obsess about things too much. Oh, good God, Justin, that is really good advice. Don't connect social media accounts to dating apps. No, that would be terrible. So the other thing I shared the other day was on from the Clickhole website. One of my favorite satire websites is The Onion. Very long running, good quality satire that dozens and dozens of people try to imitate, usually very badly. But the people behind The Onion a couple of years ago decided to do a site that was even weirder than The Onion. They called it Clickhole, and they were trying to parody all the fucking shit clickbait websites that were so big at the time. Well, that's a big challenge because those things are just awful. Oh, you on for an hour? There you go. Haven't you on for an hour? Just yawned again. So yeah, they were trying to parody those awful clickbait sites, and so good luck. I felt like those things were beyond parody, but they managed it. Clickhole is regularly very funny just by being really bizarre. And they ran one the other day that said, "Oh, a new service that lets women on a date walk home to a fake apartment." It's like, so you get to have a romantic walk home from a date, um, and leave the guy at the doorstep, just in case he turns out to be a psycho, because then when he comes stalking you, you'll go to the wrong address. And, for an extra fee, they'll even have, a neighbor step in for you and all these sorts of things. And I thought, okay, this is meant to be a joke, but this would actually be a valuable service for a lot of women. Oh, I can't stop. So they and yeah, a lot of the comments on this were women saying, I'd pay for this. This is actually worthwhile. So they tried to satirize how fucked the world is, and women just went, yeah, no, that'd be pretty good. I'd actually pay money for that. So yeah. I also agree, Safa, that Clickhole sounds like a porn site. It really does. Um, Not sure. Ooh, we're still going on about fun things. This voxification. Look up Maltego, Sherlock, and Raccoon with the term OSINT, and you won't use social media again. Open source intelligence. OSINT. Yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah, but I'm lazy and I use social media to interact with people, and I'd miss it if I wasn't doing it. It's like, yep, I'm probably making terrible fucking mistakes in doing it. But again, anyone who notices any of my social media, you never see my family on it. Um, I reference my family, but you won't see them. I'm not linked to any of my family, either my immediate or extended family, on social media. Not that that would stop someone from finding me or my family, but it's at least a hurdle someone has to jump. And hello, Mega Leech. Nice to see you. Be like, oh, sorry, man, you got me. I'm yawning. I had the yawns at the start of this stream, and then they magically went away, and now they're just coming back. Last 20 minutes. That's okay. Wait, will I zoom in on the fridge? Yeah. All someone's going to get from zooming in on my background is my rampant alcoholism. It's so funny, like having all these bottles here, being, you must be an alcoholic. I like making cocktails. And once you get into making cocktails, you just end up collecting so many different spirits and liqueurs because you want variety. Ooh. Ugh. Oh, nice. Mega Leech back from board game night. Triumphed in Zombicide. Nice. Yes, that was the thing. Tinder and Grinder told you how far away you were in meters from someone. Uh, and that's the thing, Pugwash. If I had a drinking problem, they'd all be empty. If you come in the different live streams, it's always the same damn bottles there. Because when I make a drink, I need like the one I made tonight, the Irish Manhattan, which was good, by the way. Irish whiskey, vermouth, and maraschino liqueur is a good drink. I like that. Had a bit of zing. I like it. But yeah, it's only a little bit of each. Okay, I haven't been drinking. See how much is still in the Irish whiskey. I bought that quite a while ago, and I might make some Irish whiskey cocktails this weekend. I don't know. Um, Sandy from Environmental Coffee House. Good morning to you. Yes, that's the thing. You need the variety. Um, I mean, oh God, I really will do. I mean, there are a lot of cocktail and drink channels on YouTube, but that doesn't mean I can't do it as well. I really will do sometime and start with uh, how to get started. I mean, like the absolute basics. You got to start absolute basics. You want like vodka, some form of whiskey, and gin. That's the basics. And then you broaden. Or what would be the next tier after that? That's probably rum, brandy, and tequila. And if you have those six, you can do a lot. And then you really start to branch out into all the different liqueurs. I mean, like I said, vermouth. You want vermouth to make Manhattans and martinis and whatnot. Uh, uh, Vermouth should be in the second tier of stuff you get. Um, but yeah, and I had the maraschino liqueur. That's a specialty one. And I mean, I've got a banana liqueur and white creme de cacao. Jägermeister. That's well, no, they've got slightly weirder ones. Lillet Blanc and Fernet Branca and Chartreuse, Punta Mez, apple brandy, absinthe, limoncello. What else is there? What else is up there? Elderflower liqueur, rye whiskey. So I've got up there. I've got Scotch whiskey, rye whiskey, bourbon, and Irish whiskey. That's not even all the whiskies. But then I could go for Canadian whiskey, which is apparently like rye. They make a lot of whiskies in Japan. There's Australian whiskies these days as well. Safa, AZ is not so big into cocktails because he's in a lot of medication. Often if I'm making a cocktail, he'll have a taste of it. He won't have a whole drink of his own because he has a lot of prescription medication, and it is a super bad idea for him to mix alcohol with it because he'll just lose consciousness. Ooh, nice. Environmental Coffee House, you only drink vodka and soda because you're on keto. That's the only keto drink, is it? Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't like soda. Well, I wouldn't drink vodka and soda. Ew. I'd probably just stop drinking. Actually, Mr. Jack and water. Um, yeah. See, that's the other thing. People think like I rarely drink spirits straight because I don't enjoy. Although the one I made tonight, there was no like. Often there's some form of mixer to um, cut the alcohol, whether it be lemon juice or some other fruit juice or sugar syrup or water um, or a few other things that you might add to a drink, so it's not just alcohol that you're drinking. But the one I made tonight was just alcohol. It was Irish whiskey, vermouth, and maraschino liqueur. Now, again, I wouldn't drink as a rule any one of those straight. I wouldn't sit there sipping a whiskey because I'm not that into it. But you mix it with other stuff and you get all these different flavors coming across each other. And I'm into that. It's weird. It's chemistry, I guess. I like that. Environmental coffee house. You don't drink much anymore, but it's summer, so walk around with vodka and soda. Feel like one of the cool kids. I like it. I stumbled across another drinks channel on YouTube. I was literally just firing up YouTube, and there's in recommended videos one I'd never seen before called How to Drink, and they use very high end production values in their videos. They're very stylized. They do the same things all the time with these ultra close ups of uh, the pouring the different things in slow mo. So it actually gets a little bit repetitive. It's very stylized, but yeah, I like the style of things they're doing. But it was kind of funny. I was watching one video and the guy's just mixing a drink. And he's a little soft. I'm going like, I think he must do several videos in one day because he's just made one drink and he's just sipping it. And he's obviously a bit drunk. So I don't think this is the first video he made that day. I think he had several drinks before he had this one. It was just called How to Drink, and they had some good stuff on there. So, do I drink more in summer? I might be more inclined to kick back with a cider in summer, cider with ice. But I don't think I do drink more in summer. Because I mean, apart from like mixing the odd cocktail on a live stream, I only like have a couple of drinks if I'm not going to work the next day. And never is a strong word. Hardly ever drink enough to get sick. I don't think I've ever had a hangover. When people say like I'm dying in my head, I'm so fucking sick. The worst I've ever had is my stomach feeling a bit queasy the next day. And I was okay, but it was just like, okay, today we're just taking it easy all day because I feel like I could get destabilized quite easy today. So today is just fucking take it easy. Pugwash, see, that's dangerous. The energy drink with vodka, Red Bull and vodka, or a Jaeger bomb or something. Having energy drinks with alcohol is quite dangerous because, as you say, wide awake is. I think I've showed this before. I've never actually used it, but I'll show you this funny shot glass if I can find it. It just should be just here. Just here. Can I see it? Can I see it? I can't see it. No. Okay. So much for that idea. I can't see it. Oh, I got, where is it? It's this drink. It's this drink. Where is it? This one, which is really quite nice. This is a South American drink called Cocalero. South American herbal liqueur, pretty green color. This is really nice. Like just this with like some lemonade. This is really nice, and I've used it in some cocktails as well. But the packaging of it, it came with this weird double chambered shot glass as a little bonus. And the idea is the drink they told you to do is you fill the bottom chamber with this stuff and then the top chamber with energy drink and then knock it back like a shot, which I never did. But it's this weird double chambered shot glass. Cocalero also, Safa, I think you just think about porn a lot, quite honestly. Although again, I will concede Cocalero does sound like a porn site. It really does. Dr. Bumwell, when the cool kids drank for 18? No. Okay, once or twice at parties I did have something to drink, but for many years I didn't drink at all. And in fact, I think Mrs. Angry is a bit weirded out that I started drinking in the last 10 years because prior to that I didn't. But say la vie. I don't think I'm a problem drinker. Like I said, I don't make myself sick. I don't give myself hangovers. Friday or Saturday night, if I'm at home, I like to make myself a cocktail or two, or three or four. Or if we go out, have two or three or four cocktails. But yeah, only if like I'm not working the next day, basically. And like I said, I get enough to be like, I'm happy drunk. This is cool. And I usually stop again. Often I'm with people and they're really surprised that I'm not like smashing back shots and stuff and going like, I'm not trying to get fucking paralytic. I just want to like have a good time and be happy. I don't want to be unconscious. I don't want to be sick because I have been sick once or twice. In fact, the first time I was, it was hilarious. It showed how inexperienced I was with drinking. I have to admit, I was single at this point, and I think I was probably drowning my sorrows a little bit because I wasn't happy about my last breakup, and I was on. It's probably MSN chat. That's probably how long ago this was. So we're talking about 25 years ago. I'm so old. So like about 25 years ago, when MSN chat was a thing. And I'm chatting with people and cybering and that sort of thing. And I was drinking cheap vodka. I was mixing like vodka with fuck knows what. This is before I knew, and it was awful. It was an Australian vodka. It was a really cheap, shitty Australian. It's probably nail polish remover, quite honestly. And at a certain point, I realized like, I would get vodka because you can't taste vodka when you mix it with stuff. You can if it's really cheap, awful vodka. But anyway, I got really drunk. But I got to the point, and this was probably the first time, not probably, this was the first time I got really drunk. And at this point, I'm very happy, fucked up drunk, but I'm still drinking. And that was my inexperience. And I thought, oh, this is why people get drunk. I've never been this drunk before. I kind of like this feeling. Oh, yeah, I'm forgetting my problems. But I kept drinking. And this is why I didn't realize it's like, oh, the drinks you're having now are going to take the next hour to go through your system. So you are not maintaining where you are now. You're going to get worse. So I had about half an hour or an hour of feeling sort of happy, drunk, this is cool. But I kept drinking the whole time, which was a really bad idea. And and then it was too much alcohol, and there's a war and the crash, and I suddenly felt very sick, and I learned a very important lesson, and that is if you're going to drink a lot of alcohol, don't eat a lot of spaghetti because no matter how much you think you chewed it up, if you're regurgitating, you'll find out there are some really fucking long bits of spaghetti in your stomach, and they really hurt and make you gag when you're half vomiting them. It was a truly awful, awful experience. So that's a little free lesson from me to you. If you are going to abuse alcohol, don't have spaghetti for dinner. Or if you've had spaghetti for dinner, don't drink a lot of alcohol. It's just a very bad idea. It was in fact nasty, Pugwash. It was very, very nasty. Um, don't do it, is what I'm saying. Well, if you can at all avoid it, don't drink alcohol to the point where you throw up, because that's a bad thing. That's your body saying, I've been poisoned. And you don't want that. And a hangover is your body saying, I've been poisoned. This is terrible. Why did you do that to me? Suffer a little bit slow. The problem was the long bits of spaghetti. You may think you chewed the spaghetti up, but you didn't. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, environmental coffee house. You, at a certain point, you need to grow out of abusing alcohol, basically. Oh my God, misfoxification, alcohol poisoning. Yeah, everything hurts. Yes. No, no. If you go to the point where you actually have to be hospitalized, because you do, and I mean, people die from alcohol poisoning because it just suppresses all your systems. You do have to be careful. Everything in moderation, kids, and have someone around to help you. No, and that was the other thing. I was by myself at home this time that I drank all this alcohol and was throwing up spaghetti. It was awful, and there was no one to look after me. It was doubly awful. Starlight Spider, you once threw up on a sleeping druggie. He said he was going to kill you. You were on a late night bus. Oh my God. That does sound. I've thrown up on a train late at night. I was that guy. That was bad. Yeah, pugwash is when you're so bad you do the "I'm never drinking again" thing. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've only made myself sick a very small number of times in my life. I haven't done it for a while, so I'm pretty good with that. But yeah. Hey, VidCon's coming up. YouTubers are a very bad influence. Who knows what I'll do at VidCon? Yeah, so for this thing, you have a bad liver, you literally kill yourself. You poison your internal organs. Liver's usually the first to go. Yeah, they get a very yellow, sallow skin. The nose blossoms. You get that big thing of the bulbous nose and all the pores, and the cheeks, the permanently red, flushed cheeks. Those are all really bad things. It's called roseate cheeks, I think. Yeah, that's bad. Oh, God. Nice description, misclassification. Alcohol poisoning. Felt like you'd been hit by a truck. Body couldn't remove the alcohol, so the acid burned your muscles. Damn. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, Sandy, you blackout drunk, woke up with a 6'5" guy in your bed. Yeah. No, oh, no. I almost said I hadn't forgotten stuff. Once, and I don't know anyone here. Mega Leech might have been there. He's old school in Angry World. A long time ago, well, a long time, somewhere between 7, 8 years ago, I did a live stream, probably on Blog TV, and I was watching videos and drinking while I did it. And I was getting really drunk. I was doing things like watching movie 300 and I was saying things like, some people say this movie's really gay because it's just a bunch of almost naked guys looking all oily and just sexy, and I don't think that's gay, you know. And I woke up in the morning and realized I didn't remember going to bed. And I was going, this is not good. I was on a live stream and I don't remember what happened, but people were watching. And so I sheepishly went on social media saying, hey, was anyone watching the live stream last night? How did it end? Because I don't remember. Um, And I was kind of because when I went into the bathroom, I saw that before I'd gone to bed, I'd knocked the medicine cabinet about because I was looking for. I was taking preemptive uh, uh, headache pills, and I just knocked everything over in the medicine cabinet, finding headache pills before I went to bed. So I thought I was kind of together. But yeah, though I went on social media sheepishly saying what happened, and everyone said I wasn't that interesting. It's just as time went by, you were talking less and less, and you were clearly fucked up, and you're just staring at the screen and saying less and less. And then at one point, you just went, "Oh, fucking hell, I have to go to bed." And I think I just shut the laptop rather than shutting things down properly. Apparently, I just really suddenly went, "Oh, fuck, I have to go to bed." And I just shut the laptop. That was not good. I was by myself. I think Mrs. Angry was away that weekend, and I was trying to amuse myself. Um, and none of my kids were in the house, and I amused myself by getting really far too drunk on a lot. Again, I wasn't sick that time. I didn't have a hangover the next day, but it was kind of a little bit blackouty because I literally didn't remember going to bed. I didn't remember finishing and going to bed. But I made it to bed, and there was no 6'5" guy in there with me. I woke up alone, so it wasn't there. Oh, well, thanks, Sandy. I'm glad you enjoy the show. I Man, so the internet got so much of me this week. I've done my usual 2 hour live streams myself. Did a 1 hour live stream with Eva. I recorded a 1 hour video with Brian and a 1 hour video with Aidsy. Um, Aidsy's probably going to come over on the weekend again. Probably going to record another one with Eva on the weekend. Too much angry is barely enough, quite honestly. I think that's how we sum it up. But having said that, uh, I think that's enough angry for this evening. I am, in fact, going to go to Sleepy Bobos. So thank you, one off. Oh, Miguelich, you did miss that one. Bummer. Bummer, bummer. You've been around long enough, you might have seen it. But yeah. So look after yourselves, one and all. As always, had a great time hanging out with you. I hope you all look after yourselves. Hope to see you again soon. Yeah, there'll probably be at least one live stream this weekend. Trying to do a TFU Friday video. Um, Maybe record another one with Daisy. Going to get Brian back at some point as well. I mean, I'm going to have more guests. As someone said, if I'm going to do one with Eva, I should get Viola to come in. And she literally lives just up the road. So now that I'm doing these guest videos, I do need to get Viola back in as well. And I'm trying to get a couple other people. Basically, you have a lot of guests on videos that can then be podcasts in the future. So thank you, one and all, for spending a bit of time with me. It has, as always, been a good time. I said, you do yours on Facebook. Okay. Oh, you have some scientists coming up. Okay. I had a look, and your videos on YouTube look interesting. I have to set aside some time to watch some because there are a bunch of environmental coffee house videos on YouTube with some interesting looking people. I have to set aside some time to watch some. Maybe when I'm knocking back a few beverage. Who knows? Look after yourself, one and all. I hope you take care. Hope you look after yourself, and I hope to see you again soon. But bye for now. And I never know. This one takes ages.